Located on Chicago's northeast side, Uptown is one of Chicago's most energetic and diverse neighborhoods. It carries a deep history as an entertainment district with bustling luxury developments. But importantly, after World War II, became a haven and port of entry to refugees, new immigrants, and marginalized communities, including poor Appalachian and Southern whites. As a researcher interested in health equity, Uptown shows me how impactful housing and the distribution of resources are on people's livelihoods. Uptown's poorer residents have been pushed around and bear the brunt of these stark policies. This sets the scene for a major class struggle between moneyed interests like the slumlords and developers and the people of Uptown. Paul Siegel is one resident who has been on the front lines of organizing against gentrification, which is the planned displacement of marginalized communities.
What started out as a message from SNCC and then from the Black Panther Party, which is we don't need white people in the middle of the African American organizations. We need our own self-determination and leadership, and to develop that, we need white people to organize in white communities, especially poor and oppressed white communities, to get people to see where their interests lie, which is marching with the Black liberation struggle. And we and the people in Racine were the ones who were forging the closest ties with the Black Panther Party. And most saw the Black Panther Party as a model.
Dr. Siegel started to get involved with the Black Panther Party and the struggle against urban renewal, which is a form of gentrification. He was part of the Intercommunal Survival Committee, a group that organized and provided community services like a free breakfast for kids program. They went door to door selling subscriptions to the Black Panther newspaper to see who would be brave enough to join their cause. They focused on organizing in Uptown because of the concentrated poverty of Southern whites there. In September of 1972, they held a survival conference at the Aragon Theater in Uptown and gave out 3,000 bags of groceries. At the conference, they rallied against Ed Hanrahan, the Cook County State's attorney who authorized the raid that resulted in the assassination of Fred Hampton, then head of the Illinois Black Panther Party. Thousands of people learned about community-controlled policing and got groceries and educational material. This began the launch of the Poor People's Movement in Uptown. They went on to canvass in the '72 election, but this was a rude awakening to Chicago politics for Dr. Siegel.
Kapuscinski, a big, hulking guy that lived in that building, and really, he beat people up, these old underweight guys with an alcohol problem and everything. He'd bring people in a hammerlock, and the judges they were all worked for the machine, Republican and Democrat.
The Democratic establishment has a strong grip on the city and will fight to keep it that way. This stranglehold is rooted in upholding white supremacy. Andrea Smith wrote about the 3 pillars of white supremacy, which details a framework logic preserving a racial and economic hierarchy. One pillar is dedicated to slavery and capitalism, which zeroes in on the commodification of labor and people. Gentrification is foundational to this pillar because it controls where people can live and walls off communities, preventing them from accessing essential resources.
Stop being so belligerent about gentrification, because it's the only game in town. So you need link development where you get something in exchange. I would submit to you that that's a treadmill that ultimately leads out of the city for everybody but the wealthy.
Through his organizing for housing equity, Dr. Siegel has worked on progressive campaigns and closely with the Young Lords and Chacha Jimenez, who ran for 46th Ward Alderman, which encompasses Uptown. He scored 2 major progressive victories as part of Harold Washington's successful run for mayor and Helen Schiller's successful run for 46th Ward Alderman. Overall, Dr. Siegel shows the spirit of Uptown as a place of resistance.
Uptown becomes the place that I always say where the submerged traditions of resistance to displacement and destabilization of communities most crystallized into a mass movement that came up above ground and made a lot of noise.
It is crucial that we recognize these movements for the change that they have created, but also that they are not permanent. Progress is not linear, but rather it rises and falls as time passes. I want everyone watching this video to recognize these struggles and support the fight for housing equity so that gentrifiers will know that neighborhoods are not just lines in the sand for them to erase.